The time has come. It is officially the 31 nights of Halloween, and I'm talking about every horror movie I plan to watch throughout the month of October. Spooky season is a season of nostalgia for me, so I tend to focus on older horror movies that I love and haven't watched in a while. I also like to add in some newer horror movies and new to me horror movies. So I hope this list gives you a little bit inspiration if you're looking for some more horror movies to add to your spooky season watch list. So let's jump into it. Pet Sematary is the 1989 horror film based on the Stephen King novel of the same name, and it focuses on the Creed family who experience an incredible tragic loss, and the father of the family, Lewis Creed, discovers that there's a nearby pet cemetery that has the power to bring back anyone who's buried there. But unfortunately, when things are buried there, they don't come back the same because sometimes dead is better. This one is a little bit cheesy at times. It's not as emotional or character rich as the book, but I think director Mary Lambert does a fine job at bringing this story to life. I think Fred Gwynne is a fantastic Judd Crandall. He's just this grandfatherly figure that introduces Lewis to the pet cemetery nearby and unfortunately awakens the evil that starts taking over their lives. The movie feels campy now at times, but there are still so many traumatizing and terrifying moments in this that have stuck with me since childhood, including Zelda and the Achilles heel scene that is forever seared in my brain. VHS Halloween. This is the latest installment in the VHS found footage anthology series. This time around, they're featuring stories all set on Halloween. I love the VHS series. I know that some of them are better than others. With anthologies, you usually can find a story that you enjoy, and the stories are usually so quick, so if you're not enjoying one, you might like the next one. I've heard really great reviews about this one, so I'm excited to check it out when it hits Shudder on October 3rd. Trilogy of Terror. This 1975 horror movie features 3 different stories, one featuring a college co-ed, and one infamous one featuring a Zuni fetish doll. This movie was hyped up so much to me as a child from my parents, specifically the doll segment. I haven't revisited this one in a very long time, and it just feels like the perfect time to do so. Horror anthologies, I think, are really fun during the spooky season because the stories are usually quick. They hit different moods that you're looking for. The Howling from 1981. This Joe Dante horror centers on a newscaster who has a run-in with a serial killer, and she's sent to this rehab facility to kind of get over what happened. And when she gets there, she discovers that the residents of this little community have some interesting quirks, okay? They're werewolves. This is another one I haven't watched in years. I just remember Dee Wallace obviously being the standout here, and the werewolves themselves being really good. Werewolf creature design is usually hit or miss in movies. That's usually where they struggle, but I just remember the werewolves in this being terrifying. And the idea that an entire community of werewolves is surrounding you and you're trapped is absolutely terrifying. The WNUF Halloween special is a must every Halloween, especially if you're looking for that nostalgia 80s, 90s TV Halloween special. And what many people don't realize is that WNUF Halloween special actually has a sequel, Out There Halloween Mega Tape, which I'm excited to check out for the first time. Now, this one isn't streaming anywhere. The first one is currently streaming on Shudder, and this one is set in the 90s. I don't really know much about it. I just find that the WNUF Halloween special is filled with so much heart and passion for the genre, and it just feels cozy, and it just brings you back and transports you in time of when you were a little kid during the Halloween season, and I have no doubt that the sequel will do the same. Dawn of the Dead from 1978. This George Romero classic centers on a group of people who take refuge in a shopping mall while the world is being overrun by zombies. This is a classic horror movie that is one of my favorite horror movies ever, and I haven't watched it in a very long time. So I'm definitely due for a rewatch, and just the spooky season feels like a season of zombies and old school horror. I love this one so much because it's a simple concept, but it's so just powerful in its messaging. I think the zombie makeup special effects were incredible for the time, and there's just some really disturbing, memorable moments throughout this. It also is extremely cozy to me. Dark Water from 2002. This movie centers on a young mother who has gone through a divorce, and she relocates to this creepy apartment building with her daughter, and they discover that the ceiling is leaking with water, and there's a lot of dark and disturbing stuff going on with this building. I haven't watched this one in forever, so I'm excited to revisit it. I know that there is a remake of it, which I don't remember much of either. I just know that it has those eerie, disturbing Japanese horror vibes that I desperately want this time of the year, and I think this is one of the better Japanese horror movies, so I'm definitely pumped to revisit it. I don't remember it, and that's the best part of revisiting movies you haven't watched in forever. It feels like the first time watching it. How to Make a Monster from 2001. This film centers on a group of misfit video game programmers who are tasked with making the scariest video game ever. But unfortunately, when they do this, they unleash a evil monster that terrorizes them and tries to kill them. This is a movie I used to watch repeatedly on the movie channels back in the day. It's a movie that I stumbled upon when channel surfing, so it holds a special place in my heart. It's not very good. It is very cheesy and early 2000s, but that's what I love about it. It stars Clea Duvall and Tyler Mane, and it's just ridiculously cheesy, and it has really bad graphics and stuff. I don't remember much of it, but I love the idea of people creating video games. It's like a new age digital horror movie. The Midnight Hour from 1985. This is a made-for-TV Halloween movie about a group of friends who unwittingly raise the dead on Halloween night, and it turns into a wild party. I have never seen this one, so this will be a first-time watch for me, and I'm just so excited because I've heard great things. There's something about made-for-TV movies that are special because they don't make them like this anymore. I'm hoping it's going to be filled with those nostalgic vibes, heartfelt moments, and just great fun. Like, I just need fun lightheartedness as well this time of the year, and I think this one will deliver that. The Night Flier from 1997. When a ruthless tabloid reporter learns that there might be a vampire lurking in the air murdering locals, he's hot on the case, but he soon finds himself a little too close to danger. I love this movie so much. It's based on a Stephen King short story, and it stars Miguel Ferreira as this really jerky, awful tabloid reporter who is selfish. He doesn't care about anyone else around him, but he's so good. Like, he's so charismatic, he's so engaging, and you just want him to find out this creepy stuff. It feels like old school horror TV shows like Cold Jack. It also has some brutal moments, a really cool vampire design that I really liked, and the climax is incredibly disturbing, and it has stayed with me since childhood. You can stream this one for free on YouTube. Phantasm from 1979. A teenage boy and his friends must face off against a mysterious grave robber known as the Tall Man, who has an arsenal of deadly weapons. I haven't watched this movie in so long, so much so that I forget that it exists. This movie has an incredibly intimidating and menacing villain, and some really disturbing moments and creepy weapons that this kid has to evade. It just feels, again, cozy. They're in the graveyard, the cemeteries, so there's just something inherently fall-like of it, even though I don't even remember if it's set on fall, but it just feels epic. This kid is on the run from this thing that won't stop until it gets him, so there's just so much danger. Night of the Living Dead Part 2 from 1988. I love this sequel to Night of the Living Dead because it feels like a kid-friendly horror version of that story, although it does have some more adult themes, so it's hard to put this into a category. The story centers on a young boy who discovers this toxic barrel with a zombie in it, and they unleash it on their town, and soon the town starts turning into zombies. The kid lives with his sister in this condo community, and they have a really fun relationship, and it has those cozy suburban vibes. This movie feels cheesy and over the top at times. It's very silly, but it has some really cool zombie moments. Trick or Treat from 1986. Eddie is a bullied high school student who's also a metalhead who looks up to his famous superstar idol, Sammy Kerr, for inspiration. But when Sammy Kerr accidentally is killed in a tragic fire, Eddie finds himself as the only recipient of his latest unreleased album. And he discovers that when he plays the album backwards, it brings Sammy back to life. But there's a catch, and he does not come back the same. I haven't watched this one in so long. I think I've only watched it once, and I honestly don't remember anything about it. All I know is it's infused with metal and it's filled with Halloween vibes because it's set around Halloween. I love the cursed object trope in horror, so I like that they utilized the album here, and they're also incorporating tropes of like if you play the album backwards, like satanic stuff will happen. That's like a part of the satanic panic craze that happened back in the 80s. I think this one also has appearances from famous rock stars like Ozzy Osbourne, so I'm excited to revisit it and give it my full undivided attention this time and fully just absorb all of its metal amazingness. Late Night with the Devil from 2023. This found footage style horror movie centers on a late night talk show from 1977 that goes horribly wrong on Halloween night. I love this movie so much. I think it's very similar to WNUF Halloween Special and Ghostwatch, and it really captures the time. David Dastmalchian, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but he's incredible in this. He's just so charming and incredibly likable as this kind of Johnny Carson type talk show host who's been through so much. But you're essentially watching this Halloween episode play out in real time, where he has a psychic on air, he has an author of an exorcism book, and the girl who is supposedly possessed by a demon. So as you can imagine, all hell breaks loose and we watch it in detail. I think it's very creative. There's some really fun moments and it just gets crazy towards the end. Eight-Legged Freaks from 2002. A small rural mining town is overrun by gigantic killer spiders, and the small town sheriff and her love interest have to basically stop it and save the town. This is a small town horror, so it has those cozy vibes where you're getting to know various characters in the town who all have their unique personalities. It's just so silly. It's so fun and campy, and I think it just brings the fun into Halloween that you need this time of the year. The Burbs from 1989. When secretive new neighbors move into their suburban town, Ray and his neighbors suspect that they are doing some evil things. This is a Joe Dante film starring Tom Hanks, and I haven't watched this in years, so I honestly don't remember much about it. I just know that it's filled with really great actors and it's fun. It's fun and cozy. Pumpkinhead II from 1993. A group of thrill-seeking teenagers resurrect a demon from his grave, and he unleashes hell on them, okay? This is another one I haven't watched in so long. I typically will watch Pumpkinhead every Halloween, so I wanted to switch it up and add in the sequel because I just remember this one a lot from my childhood, but I don't remember much of it. I just remember the aspect of the teenagers waking him up. And one of the teenagers is played by Soleil Moonfry, aka Punky Brewster. So it's definitely, it's giving me 80s, early 90s vibes. Doesn't look like people like this one. Judging by the Letterboxd reviews. Stir of Echoes from 1999. After being hypnotized by his sister-in-law, a man begins seeing strange ghostly visions all around him, and he must figure out what they're trying to tell him. I love this movie so much. It has the disadvantage of coming out at the same time as The Sixth Sense, so it kind of got buried in the massive success of that movie. But this one I think is just as good. It stars Kevin Bacon and he's fantastic, and you're watching as he's trying to figure out the mystery of what he's seeing, and what he's seeing is so disturbing, and it leads to really disturbing revelations about his neighbors, and it's super sad and unsettling. As Above, So Below from 2014. A group of explorers decide to enter the Paris catacombs, and they end up on a journey of madness and terror. This is a found footage horror movie, and it gets so claustrophobic, so deeply unsettling, and just insanely creepy because the imagery that you're seeing is chaotic. It doesn't make sense at times. It's mind-bending, and it's terrifying to imagine yourself underground, miles underground, surrounded by death and darkness and not being able to escape. The Paris catacombs are also a place on my bucket list, a place I want to go so badly, and I've always wanted to go there ever since watching an episode of Scariest Places on Earth on ABC Family, where they highlight the Paris catacombs in this videotape that was supposedly found underneath there that I think inspired this movie a little bit, where this videotape shows a man underneath the catacombs and he drops the camera and runs off into the darkness and has never been found. I think the tape was a hoax, but it's still fun to believe that it was real. Pulse from 2001. This movie focuses on a haunting that's transferred through the internet. This came out at a time of the early age of the internet, and it's a techno horror that is done so well because there's so much disturbing imagery throughout this. It is so eerie, so atmospheric, so deeply unsettling, and I just love the idea of a ghost transferring itself through the internet, a curse taking place through the internet, because we all use it every day, and it's easy to imagine yourself in that situation. What would you do? There are some truly haunting moments in this as well, so I feel like it is the perfect Halloween movie because it's actually like scary. Dead and Buried from 1981. After a series of gory murders committed by mobs of townspeople against visiting tourists, the corpses appear to be coming back to life and living normally as locals in the small town. I've only watched this movie once, so I do not remember much of anything about it, but I'm excited to revisit it because it has those small coastal town vibes. I think it's supposed to be very Lovecraftian, very New England-esque. The Collingswood Story from 2002. This is a desktop horror that centers on a couple who were long distance, and one night they decide to speak with a psychic, and the psychic tells them that the house that the girl is living in is haunted. Some horrible things happen there. So over the course of the film, the boyfriend and the girlfriend are trying to figure out what happened there. This was in the early days of the internet. It's post Blair Witch, and it's one of the first desktop horror movies, and I love it so much. I think they did a fantastic job at creating this uneasy, unsettling atmosphere through the desktop. I think the acting between the two characters is a little off, but I can forgive it because it's a low-budget horror movie. But I also think that they do sell it a bit once they're actually getting into the horrifying mystery. I love the aspect of calling a psychic through an online chat room, and all of this is taking place through online chats, old school webcam. So it's just so nostalgic, and it just gives me these cozy feelings, the goosebumps. I just love the sound of the dial-up computer. Just seeing the old desktop, it just brings me back in time. So I think I just have an appreciation for this because it's so ahead of its time, and I think the story is really interesting. The Mad from 2007. When a family on a road trip stop at a roadside restaurant, they discover that something is going on with the restaurant's meat, and people are turning into zombie crazed people, and they have to figure out how to get out alive. I love this movie so much because it's very much an early 2000s horror movie. It's very cheesy, ridiculous in concept, but I think it's infused with so much heart and silliness. Billy Zane is playing the dad of the family here, and he is great. He has no problem poking fun at himself and just having a damn good time, being silly and ridiculous, and I think that really carries this movie. Bordello of Blood from 1996. This is a Tales from the Crypt movie, and it focuses on a private eye played by Dennis Miller, who's hired by a sexually repressed woman who wants him to find her bad boy brother, played by Corey Feldman, who goes missing at a bordello that is essentially run by vampires. And as you can imagine, things don't go well for him. This movie isn't good. Demon Knight, the first Tales from the Crypt movie, is much better, and I will be watching that one as well. But you know what? I wanted to give this one some love and revisit it. See if it maybe isn't as bad as I thought it was. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's stupid. I think there's also a lot of problems that happened during the filming of this movie that I don't know much about. I want to watch it, okay? Last Voyage of the Demeter from 2023. The crew of the Demeter is trying to survive their voyage to London while they are being stalked by a ruthless vampire night after night. This movie is the prologue of Dracula. It tells that story, and that story, it's just incredibly atmospheric, and I think Andre Overdahl, the director, really did create a very beautifully moody, atmospheric horror movie. It's filled with paranoia and dread because you know what's coming and you know what's happening before our crew does, and I think it's essentially kind of like The Thing on a ship, where they don't know who to trust, they don't know what's happening, and then eventually they realize it's a vampire, and this vampire starts taking them out one by one, and people die that you don't expect to die. I think the vampire itself is really creepy and cool, and it's just dark and moody and dreary, and it feels like Halloween. The Innkeepers from 2011. It's the final days of the Yankee Peddler Inn, and the two innkeepers are trying to have the most fun with their final days, and they discover that the inn might be haunted, and they begin experiencing strange things. This movie is a Ty West film, so it is a slow burn. It's a character-driven story where you really spend time getting to know these two innkeepers, and they're really likable. Like, you want to spend the time with them, see their everyday lives as they're doing their normal job working in an inn. And there's fun characters who come and stay at the inn, and it amps up in its ghostly activity, but I think this one really excels in its atmosphere. The Conjuring from 2013. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family who are being terrorized by evil spirits in their farmhouse. It is the Conjuring season right now. There's a new Conjuring movie that just came out. I still haven't seen it, but I need to revisit this one because it has been so long. Part 2 is my favorite. It's the one I revisit the most. Part 1 I tend to neglect, so I definitely want to revisit it, be reacquainted with the Warrens, and be reacquainted with this family, because I think what these films do best is really by spending time with the characters who are being terrorized by these ghosts, so that when they are attacked by these ghosts, you really feel for them. Clown in a Cornfield from 2025. When Quinn and her father move to the town of Kettle Springs, they discover that there's a lot of animosity between the adults and the children of the town because the town's syrup factory that brought in all their money burned down. And one night during a party in the cornfields, someone dressed as the town's mascot, Friendo the Clown, decides to show up and crash the party, and it ends in bloodshed. This is based on the book series by Adam Caesar that I absolutely love. I think that it's filled with those 90s nostalgic vibes. It feels like an entryway horror. It's a teen slasher, so we're really focused on these teens as they're trying to get out of the situation alive. It's not overly gory and bloody, but we do get those moments of terror. I think the lead actress, Katie Douglas is her name, I believe, she is fantastic as Quinn because she just brings so much levity to this. She feels like a girl next door who's also really funny. She has some really great comedic timing, as does the actor who plays her father. There's some really funny sequences that play out with him as well. I think director Eli Craig, who also did Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, he brought a lightheartedness to this story that was needed. Grave Encounters from 2011. The crew of a paranormal reality show lock themselves up in a psychiatric facility, and they discover that it's actually haunted and they can't get out. This is a found footage horror movie that scared the crap out of me when I watched it originally. It's one of my favorite found footage horror movies because they do it so well. I love that they used a paranormal reality TV show as their setup, and they do it so well. Like, they're paying homage to those types of shows while also making fun at them and how ridiculous they are. The movie is infused with some good humor, especially with the earlier moments before the paranormal stuff kicks off, but when they're in the facility and the horror kicks in, it is terrifying. May from 2002. May is a very shy, introverted young woman who decides that she's going to make her own friend by taking the body parts of various people. Very disturbing. It's set around Halloween. Angela Bettis is incredible as May. She's so like charming and enigmatic, but also weird as hell. And lastly, we have The Blob from 1988. When an alien that takes on a gelatinous blob-like form, a group of teenagers try to stop it and save their town. This is a quintessential 80s horror movie. It is so colorful, so like gory and terrifying. The special effects are incredible. It has a fantastic final girl in Shawnee Smith, and it just screams Halloween season. And there you have it. Those are the 31 horror movies I plan to watch during spooky season. I will obviously be watching way more movies than that. I will be watching all of the Halloween movies. Fear Fest is on my screen 24/7, okay? All the usual Halloween horror movies that you expect, I will watch as well. But I like to prioritize a few others during the season. If you're looking for even more horror movie recommendations for the Halloween season, I'll link my Halloween playlist for you below. I have other 31 Nights of Halloween movie watch lists, so I got you covered for everything you need this Halloween season. Let me know what horror movies you were planning to watch and prioritize this Halloween season. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have an amazing Halloween season. Bye.